Good morning, Eric.
Morning, Mr. K.
All right, so today is our reading session, and
Mm,
we continue to read from line 1 to 97.
mm.
Turmeric. If you've ever eaten at an Indian, Indonesian, or Thai restaurant, you have most likely had turmeric, a spice commonly used in Southeast Asia cuisine. This spice is also used in the mustard to give it its characteristic golden color. Turmeric is a tropical plant whose underground stems are harvested, boiled, dried in an oven, and powdered to make an orange-color spice that has been used in cooking and Ayurvedic medicine for thousands of years. The main bioactive in turmeric is curcumin. Curcumin causes many beneficial epigenetic effects that increase the activity of tumor suppressor genes in our body known to counter the growth of colon cancer and leukemia.
Curcumin's epigenetic effects also protect the health of the blood vessel. In lab rats with hypertension, scientists at the China Academy of Sciences found that eating curcumin reduced injury to the coronary blood vessels feeding the heart by allowing their genes to produce a protein called tissue inhibitor of metalloproteinases (TIMP). These proteins reduces inflammation because inflammation damages the blood vessel wall, which leads to the narrowing of blood vessels by cholesterol plaques. Curcumin's epigenetic action protects the heart from inflammation that could ultimately lead to a heart attack from blocked arteries.
Curcumin also benefits the brain. Scientists at Pusan National University in Korea show that when brain cancer glioma cells are exposed to curcumin, it triggers an epigenetic effect that causes the cancer cells to commit suicide and die. The same group in Korea exposed healthy neutral stem cells from the brain to curcumin to see what would happen. In that case, the curcumin stimulated the stem cells to grow into mature normal neurons. This means that the epigenetic powers contained in a single spice, curcumin, can do triple duty: protect against cancer, reduce blood vessel inflammation, and help grow neuron.
Herbs. Many popular herbs used in Mediterranean cuisines contain a bioactive called rosmarinic acid, so named because of its original discovery in rosemary. Rosmarinic acid is also found in basil, marjoram, sage, thyme, and peppermint. Scientists at Poznań University in Poland examined its epigenetic effects and found that rosmarinic rosmarinic acid prevents the blocking of thermosuppressor genes in human breast cancer cells.
Your telomeres play foods and that foods that protect telomeres. Your telomeres play an important role in protecting your DNA by shielding the ends of your chromosomes from damage. Telomeres naturally shorten with age, like a fuse burning down, so any action that can help them stay longer will help protect your DNA and combat aging. Let's look at the foods and beverages that have been shown to counteract telomere shortening.
Coffee. Coffee has been enjoyed as a beverage for more than 600 years, and if you're like me, it's part of a customary morning ritual to start your engine for the day, mostly due to its caffeine. But it turns out coffee has other benefits and bioactive beyond the morning joy. It lowers your risk of dying.
In a massive study of 521,330 men and women in the European prospective investigation into cancer and nutrition, consumption of both caf- caf- caffeinate, caffeinate and decaffeinate coffee was associated with reduced mortality, specifically 12% lower in men and 7% in women. From any cause, the greatest benefit was in lowering the risk of dying from a digestive-related disease, which makes sense, since the gut is exposed to the highest concentration of coffee bioactives.
Caffeine may give you the kick you want, but it may not play a significant role in the DNA protections provided by drinking coffee. In lab studies, caffeine actually shortens telomeres, yet coffee drinking has just the opposite effect. In a study called the National Health and Nutrition Examinations Survey (NHANES), researchers documented coffee and caffeine consumption in 5,826 adults and showed that drinking more coffee was associated with longer telomeres. For each cup of coffee the subjects consumed each day, their telomeres were 33.8 base pairs longer. This means that drinking 1 cup of coffee every day effectively slows aging. Coffee contains many more bioactives than caffeine, and the multiplied bioactives likely work together to offer telomere protecting effects. Recall, too, that coffee also has benefits on the angiogenesis defenses.
A third large study, the Nurses' Health Study, backed by the beneficial coffee findings. Researchers examined 4,780 women for their coffee consumption levels using a food frequency questionnaire and then measured their telomeres through blood samples. Compared to non-coffee drinkers, women who drank 3 or more cups of coffee per day had longer telomeres.
In the old days, coffee was viewed as a possible risk for heart disease, since caffeine can speed up heart rate. Theoretically, that makes sense, and in fact, the opposite was seen when actual population studies of coffee drinkers were conducted. Researchers at the University of York in the United Kingdom conducted a meta-analysis of human studies examining coffee consumption and mortality after a heart attack in a total of 3,271 people. A meta-analysis allowed researchers to examine multiple studies and use statistical methods to combine the results and synthesize of the findings to arrive at a common truth using the available evidence. When applied to coffee, the analysis found that like coffee drinkers 1 to 2 cups per day had a 21% reduced risk of death from heart attack, while a heavy coffee drinker 2 or more cups per day had a 31% reduced risk of death. The many coffee bioactives likely act on the heart, leading to this associated lower risk. The net benefit of coffee for health based on all the clinical evidence is a good example of why it's important to look at and consume the whole foods and not come to sweeping conclusions on the basis of only one of its components, like in the case of coffee is caffeine.
Tea. Given the mounting health attributes of tea, an obvious question is whether drinking tea benefits your telomeres. Researchers at the Chinese University of Hong Kong study a group of 976 men and 1,030 women aged 65 and older. The average age of participants was 72, which is important for a telomere study because telomeres shorten with age. Each individual in the study reported how much and how often they consume foods across 13 categories common in China, including tea. Researchers drew blood and measured telomere length in the white blood cells. The results were striking. Tea drinking was associated with increased telomere length, but only in elderly men, not women. When the amount of tea consumed by men was analyzed, those who drank 3 or more cups of tea per day had longer telomeres compared to those who drank less than a third of a cup of tea. The difference in telomere length was equivalent to a calculated difference of 5 years of additional life between high and low level tea drinkers. No other foods group was associated with any telomere lengthening in this elderly population. The study did not specifically ask which type of tea, but green tea and oolong tea are the most commonly consumed teas in China.
Why did women not enjoy the same telomere lengthening benefits of the tea? The only other statistically significant finding from this study was a negative effect seen in women but not men associated with the use of cooking oil and shorter telomeres. The researchers noted that women who do most of their cooking in Chinese culture may be standing over the fumes of oil heated to extremely high temperature in the wok, which could generate chemical byproducts that damage telomeres, thus potentially erasing any protective benefit of tea.
Nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds are popular snacks today, and all evidence points to their health benefits. They are a good source of dietary fiber for the microbiome and contain potent bioactives like gallic acid and ellagic acid. At least 2 large studies have shown that eating nuts and seeds is associated with reduced mortality. The Physicians' Health Study involved 22,742 male doctors and showed an association between eating 5 or more servings of nuts per week and a 26% lower risk of mortality, compared to people who rarely ate nuts or ate no nuts at all. The PREDIM study showed an even higher levels of benefit. In that study, which evaluated 7,447 healthy people in Spain who were at risk for cardiovascular disease, those who ate 3 servings of nuts per week had a 39% reduced risk of mortality compared to people who didn't eat any nuts.
Given this association seen between nuts consumption and mortality, researchers at Brigham Young University in Utah studies whether nut consumption influences telomere length. Researchers surveyed 5,582 men and women between 20 and 84 years old who were part of the National Health and Nutrition Examination Study SNAP-NEXT program led by the U.S. National Center for Health Statistics, asking them how much and how often they ate nuts and seeds. In this study, nuts and seeds include almonds, almond butter, and paste, Brazil nuts, cashew, and cashew butter, chestnuts, flax seeds, hazelnuts, macadamia nuts, peanuts and peanut butters, pecans, peanuts, pistachios, pumpkin seeds, squash seeds, sesame seeds, and tahini, sunflower seeds, and walnuts. The researchers then examined the participants' blood to determine telomere length and look for dietary correlations.
Their analysis showed that the more nuts and seeds consumed, the longer the telomeres. For every 10 grams of nuts or seeds consumed per day, telomeres were 8.5 units longer over the course of a year. 10 grams is roughly 1 tablespoon of nuts, which is equivalent to 9 cashews, or 7 walnuts, or 6 almonds, or 4 teaspoons of flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, or sunflower seeds, or 2 teaspoons of sesame seeds. These amounts can easily be consumed in one day in a number of different forms, from individual nuts to baked into a bar or added to the salad.
What advantage does this offer in terms of aging? Normally, telomeres shrink by 15.4 base pairs per year. Since the nutness finding showed that eating nuts or seeds increased telomere length by 8.5 units per 10 grams consumed, the researchers calculated that for every half a handful of nuts or seeds eaten per day, there will be approximately a 1.5-year slowing of cellular aging.
Mediterranean diet, beyond its great flavors and fresh ingredients, and all the angiogenesis, stem cells, and microbiome influencing benefits, the Mediterranean diet is associated with healthy aging and improved telomere length. One study led by Harvard researchers examined 4,676 healthy middle-aged women from the Nurses' Health Study to investigate the association between dietary patterns and telomeres. The women completed a food frequency questionnaire, which researchers then analyzed to see how closely the foods they ate resembled the Mediterranean diet. The scoring system used for this analysis was based on a higher consumption of vegetables, excluding potatoes, fruits, nuts, whole grains, legumes, fish, and monounsaturated fats, moderated alcohol intake, and lower consumption of red and processed meats. Researchers drew blood and measured telomere length in the white blood cells of the participants. Women whose dietary pattern were most similar to the Mediterranean diet had significantly longer telomeres. By contrast, women who ate a more typical Western diet, high in saturated fats and meat, had just the opposite effect. In fact, those whose diets least resembled the Mediterranean diet had shorter than average telomeres.
The Mediterranean diet is made up of foods and beverages that are known to be high in antioxidants, DNA repairing, and anti-inflammatory activity, which slows telomere shortening. Most important from this study, however, is the finding that no single individual food documented in the diet was by itself a magic bullet for increased telomere length. The overall dietary patterns was the most important factor.
Vegetable-rich Asian diet. As a dietary pattern, There is no question that a plant-based diet is more beneficial to your health than a diet heavy in animal proteins. Besides the Mediterranean diet, the Asian diet is another pattern that is typically rich with plant-based foods and known to be healthy. The first study to comprehensively collect data and analyze these diets was the China Cornell Oxford project, which was elegantly described by nutrition and health pioneer T. Colin Campbell in his landmark book, The China Study. These studies detail the links between nutrition, heart disease, cancer, and diabetes in Asia and is widely considered one of the most comprehensive nutrition studies ever undertaken.
More recently, scientists have investigated the connection between the Asian diets and telomere length. Researchers from Sichuan University, Number 4 West China Teaching Hospital, Sun Yat-sen University, and People's Hospital of Ganzhou Tibetan's Autonomous Prefecture in China studied 555 adults, 272 women and 281 men from southwest China who were in the age range of 25 to 65 years old. Participants completed a dietary survey asking about specific foods they ate during the previous year. The study results revealed four real-world dietary patterns among the subjects. First, a vegetable-rich pattern that primarily consisted of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, eggs, dairy, and tea. Second, a mature pattern researchers terms heavy in animal proteins and alcohol. Third, a traditional pattern that features rice, red meat, and pickles vegetable. And four, a high energy density pattern which was high in sugar sweetened beverages, wheat, flour, and deep fried foods. Researchers then drew blood, measured telomere length in white blood cells, and correlated the four dietary patterns with telomere length.
Only the vegetable-rich dietary pattern was associated with longer telomere length, and interestingly only in women. This study found no correlation between any of the four dietary patterns and telomere length in men. The reason for the gender differences on telomere length and diet is not understood, reminding us that there is no universal one-size-fits-all diet for health, and that much more research is needed in this area before concrete dietary recommendations can be made for telomere lengthening.
Overall diet and lifestyle change. A holistic and inclusive approach to diet and lifestyle was explored in an important study called Gene Expressions Modulations by Interventions with Nutrition and Lifestyle, Germano-led by Dan Ornish at the Preventive Medical Research Institute in Sausalito, and Nobel laureate Elizabeth Blackburn, the University of California, San Francisco. Germinal researchers studied 24 men who were diagnosed with low-risk prostate cancer and volunteered to undergo a comprehensive diet and lifestyle interventions for 3 months. The interventions included a 3-day residential retreat, followed by weekly lifestyle counseling, weekly telephone check-ins with a nurse, yoga 6 days a week, exercise, walking 30 minutes per day, 6 days a week, and 1 hour weekly support group sessions. The dietary component of the interventions was similar in compositions to the Mediterranean diets. The subjects also received omega-3 full-fat fish oil, vitamin C and E, and selenium supplements.
Researchers drew blood at the start and end of the 3 months intervention, analyzing white blood cells for activity of telomerase, an enzyme that helps lengthen telomeres. The results show a striking 30% increase in telomerase activity following the diet and lifestyle intervention. Increasing telomerase activity extends a cell's longevity and ability to function normally. The higher the levels of telomerase, the longer the telomeres were, which is a good thing for health.
5 years later, the Gemini researchers followed up with 10 participants and compared their blood cells and telomeres for 25 other men with low-grade prostate cancer who opted for no interventions. Researchers found that telomeres were significantly longer in the groups that underwent the diet and lifestyle interventions compared to their original baseline. In the groups that did not undergo the interventions, telomere length actually shortens. Sticking with the program proved to be beneficial. Those in the interventions group who were more adherent to the diet and lifestyle had longer telomere than those who were lack.
Foods that harm our DNA health defense mechanisms. Some foods are not so good for your DNA and even contributes to its damage. While this book focuses on inclusiveness with diet, I feel it's important to tell you about the foods and dietary patterns that can potentially harm our DNA. Fatty foods. The next time you reach for a strip of crispy bacon or carve into that beautifully marbled rib-eye steak, think first about your DNA. Fatty foods can change your health through epigenetic effects. Researchers studied the epigenetic impact of saturated fat in human volunteers at the Uppsala University Hospital in Sweden. They recruited 31 healthy men and women between 18 and 27 years old and of normal weight and fed them high-calorie muffins for 7 weeks. There were two kinds of muffins, one made with high excessive amounts of saturated fat, refined palm oil, and the other kind was with polyunsaturated fat, sunflower oil. The goal of the study was to compare weight gain caused by overeating too much of each kind of fat. The number of muffins each participant was asked to eat was tailored to cause a 3% increase in weight.
The researchers found that saturated and polyunsaturated fats has different effects. The participants who ate saturated fats increased their visceral fats as well as fats in their liver. Their blood triglyceride levels rose by 14%. In contrast, those who ate muffins made with unsaturated fats increased their lean body mass and decreased their blood triglycerides level by 8%.
The researchers were particularly interested in what epigenetic changes accompany these fat-associated effects. So they biopsied the participants' abdominal fat at the beginning and end of the study in order to analyze the genomic changes in fat cells. The genes of both groups show epigenetic changes. In fact, 1,442 genes were silenced through methylation by eating fat. Eating muffins made with the unhealthy saturated fats actually changed 28 proteins produced by fat cells, whereas the Pufa muffins did not significantly alter gene expression, while the exact consequences of the individual methylated gene were not yet precisely known. This study clearly demonstrates that overeating fatty foods not only causes weight gain, but it also changes the function of your DNA.
In the lab, high-fat diet have been shown to cause undesirable epigenetic changes that shut down the liver ability to regenerate. Since the liver is key to detoxifying the blood, this can lead to a buildup of toxins and contribute to a pro-inflammatory state in the body.
Processed meat. Everyone knows that eating processed meat is not part of a healthy diet, but it's even more telling that several large-scale studies have shown that eating processed meat actually shrinks your telomeres. The multi-ethnic study of atherosclerosis (MESA) is a study of 6,000 men and women representing different ethnicity from 6 communities across the United States: Baltimore, Chicago, Forsyth County, North Carolina, New York City, Los Angeles, and St. Paul, Minnesota. Among this group, researchers studied 840 white, African American, and Hispanic subjects who recorded their daily intake and frequency of eating 12 different categories of foods over the previous year: whole grains, refined grains, fruit, vegetables, non-fried seafood, nuts and seeds, dairy, red meat, processed meat, including ham, hot dogs, lunch meats, sausage, organ meats, and ham hocks, fried foods, including potatoes, fish, and chicken, non-diet soda, and coffee. The researchers sampled their blood, measured telomere length in white blood cells, and correlated telomere length with their reported diet.
The findings of MESA were revealing. Only one food was associated with shorter telomeres: processed meat. In fact, for each additional serving of processed meat consumed each day, the telomeres became 0.07 units smaller. Since normal aging shortens telomeres by 15.4 units per year, this means that eating 220 servings of processed meats or having lunch meat 4 to 5 days a week is equivalent to accelerating your aging by 1 year for every year you eat this way.
The Stronghold Family Study, a major study funded by the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, also find a connection between processed meats and shorter telomeres. This study explores genetic and other factors contributing to cardiovascular disease in 13 Native American tribes. Researchers asked 2,864 Native Americans to report their consumption of processed and unprocessed meat over the past year, then took blood and measured telomere length. Consistent with trend of the MESA study, the analysis showed that every serving of processed meat was associated with shortening of telomeres by 0.021 units. The reason that eating processed meat causes shorter telomeres is not clear. Meat processing can generate chemicals called advanced glycation and end products, AGEs. These agents are known to provoke inflammation, which can cause oxidative stress in cells and damage DNA. There may also be other chemicals found in the meat that can influence telomeres.
One surprise that came from the Stronghold family study was the finding that eating unprocessed red meat 1 to 2 times per day was actually associated with longer telomeres. A possible explanation for this unexpected result is that certain bioactives found in red meat, such as vitamin B, hemp ions, and carcinogens, can reduce telomere shortening. Still, eating red meat has multiple downsides beyond unhealthy saturated fats, which are associated with increased risk of cancer and cardiovascular disease. Red meat also contains L-carnitines, which your gut bacteria metabolize to generate a harmful chemical called dimethylamines and oxide, TMAO. TMAO has been implicated in the development of obesity, diabetes, gastrointestinal cancers, and heart disease. A study by scientists at the Prevalence Clinic in Ohio showed that dietary L-carnitines accelerate the development of blood vessels, blocking atherosclerosis in mice.
The method of cooking red meats, such as grilling, also can generate carcinogenic chemicals like heterocyclic amines, which are found in the char of barbecue meats. The crispy bits might be tasty, but they can be deadly. So when it comes to eating meat, consider these risks and steer clear of the char. Sugar-sweetened beverages. Soda and soft drinks are often regarded as the products of modern industry, but in fact, flavoring water with natural herbs and fruits originated in ancient times. Carbonating the beverage to create fizz was invented in 1767 when a chemist named Joseph Priestley infused water with carbon dioxide, setting the stage for today's carbonated beverages. The addition of lots of sugar and fruit juices to sweeten soda became popular in the 20th century. As we saw in Chapter 8, artificial sweeteners can alter the microbiome, but what are the effects of sugar-sweetened beverages on DNA? As we discussed in Chapter 4, research suggests that toddlers who consume soda have shorter telomeres, but there is other work in this area.
Researchers from the University of California, San Francisco, University of California, Berkeley, and Stanford University evaluated the impact of sugar on DNA. In 5,309 adults whose health states are part of the National Health and Nutrition Examination Studies, NASDAS, managed by the National Center for Health Statistics. Data about food and health parameters collected over time includes the amount consumed of sugar-sweetened soda, non-carbonated sweetened drinks, fruit juices, energy and sport drinks, sweetened water, diet soda, and 100% fruit juice. In addition to dietary information, the participants contributed blood sample for which telomere length can be measured.
The Nanner's study published in 2014 showed that the average daily intake of sweetened beverages in the United States was 17 fluid ounces, the equivalent of 1.5 cans of soda. The researchers then crunched the available data and found that each can of soda consumed in a day shortened telomeres by 0.01 units, accelerating the effects of aging. In those drinking a 20-ounce bottle of soda daily, the telomere shortening was equivalent to that of 4.6 years of faster aging each year. The researchers noted this degree of accelerated telomere shortening was similar to that caused by smoking cigarettes, also 4.6 years.
The good news is that telomere shortening appears to be reversible. The positive benefits of moderate physical activity leads to a nearly equivalent gain of telomere length, 4.4 years, on a similar scale as a loss of telomere length in the sweetened soda and drink NHA-NES study. This is an example of how everything we do has an addictive net effect. Making more good choices will push you toward longer telomeres, while poor choices will chip away whatever benefits you've gained.
Another study conducted by researchers at the University of California, San Francisco, and University of California, Berkeley, examined the effects of soda drinking in 65 pregnant women ages 18 to 45. The researchers asked women to report their beverage consumption and then drew blood for telomere measurements at the beginning of the study and then at 3 months and at 9 months after delivering of the baby. The results showed that when the women reduced their consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages, their telomeres lengthened.
Yeah, it's okay. How about we stop it here?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So talk about my thoughts after reading this part. Yeah. Okay. For this part, you talk about telomeres, like which is the shortening and then lengthen, or maybe like uh, delay the shortening, something like that. And I also saw the link that you share in the comments, right?
But we haven't reached that part, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
never mind.
I
You can
also
go for it.
click in and see. Mm.
You can go for it.
Yeah, but yeah, actually the link doesn't bring me to the to the page. Yeah, maybe you can try to see whether it is still effective. But never mind, I still managed to know what website it is, and I type similar keywords, which is telomeres. Yep. And this part talk about many things which affect the telomeres length. Some of them beneficial and which can like reduce the shortening of the telomeres, and some of them can lengthen them. And yeah, but when it comes to the final question, which is like telomeres, whether it is like effective, accurate to explain our lifespan, yeah, I believe that there are still many uncertainty to them. They also uh, couldn't be very sure what the telomeres tell us. Yeah, but I appreciate many study done by the researchers. Yeah, some of them really did the research and experiments into very detail. For example, like 0.01 units, something like that. Yeah, and uh, yeah, I think also after reading this part, I suddenly have a feeling, which is this book is beneficial to me in terms of like knowing the basic knowledge of our health, our body, uh, and then maybe some name of the diseases, some name of our organs, uh, and maybe the defense system, five defense system. Yeah, I know some key terms so that in the future, if I want to know more about health, and then I can search the internet, and then I know some of the words, some of the vocabulary which is important uh, related to it. Yeah, and also which is the way the authors uh, want to it is not proof, it is like convince or support, yeah, support uh, his his points is bringing out the research. And yeah, I'm aware of the confirmation bias, and but I think this is one of the way to kind of like confirm and also falsify our points of view. So I actually uh, yeah, I learned from uh, how to how to see something, whether it is like it is correct or not correct. Yeah, of course, relying on some research doesn't uh, give a confirmation of the truth, but this is also like one of the way. And before this, how do I see things? It is quite simple and naive. Uh, Maybe I saw some article. Let's say eating apples is good. Then I read the whole articles saying how good it is, what is the benefits, and then these already make me like um, uh, I I'm already uh, I'm so believe in it. Yeah, so I will just follow and eat apples. And next time when I saw something is good, something is not good, I just follow. So yeah, I think this is not a very good way. And uh, yeah, maybe included some research, and then consider also the opposite side of the research. Yeah, and then make your own decision. Yeah. So this is what I want to say.
Just now you say before before you read the book, you don't know how to uh kind of like verify information, and
Yeah.
after you read the book, you learn how to how to verify the information. But what method you are using? How?
Okay. I
Mm,
think I have improved from just following what the article said to being able to get some uh, research to support what is said, and then also to get the opposite information of the things. Of course, after this, maybe we need to try about by our own with our own body to see whether it is effective.
mm,
Yeah.
How many? I mean, how many the real scientific nutrition research paper or study you have read after you read this book? I mean, the real study, the real paper.
Mm. Yeah, I think for this question, um, yeah, beside those you share with me, I think I haven't really started to read those research.
Mm,
Mm.
okay.
Yep. And also for this part, they talk about the fatty acids, and then those fatty foods, and then there is also a few sentences like they say there is no question that plant-based food is uh, like better than the foods with high animal protein. Yeah,
Mm,
you want to make some counter argument for this?
Mm, I think I'm so reluctant to kind of like arguing all this kind of concept. Yeah, because I don't need to prove to anyone. I don't need to force them. I don't need to advise them to change their diet. And I keep repeating my principle, my advice. And there's a 3 stage. The first stage is you know nothing, you follow the public opinion. And then the second stage, the first stage is you listen to your body. You know nothing. And then you do something you think is right. You eat something you think is right.
Yeah.
Let's say when you are a kid, when you are so young, a little kid, you may eat some weird vegetable, for example ginger, for example chili, and you feel so bad after eating them, and you just don't eat them next time.
Yeah.
And if you ate a vegetable, you think it tastes so bad, and you just don't eat next time. And also apply for meat. Yeah, but it seems like kids, the tolerance, the meat tolerance is higher than the plants tolerance. You seldom heard the kids they don't like to eat meat, they refuse to eat meat.
Yeah.
But they refuse to eat veggie, they refuse to eat rice. And they like sugar, they really like sugar.
Yep.
They kind of like cannot control themselves. So they like something or not, they eat something or not, doesn't mean that the thing is a drug or is something like benefit to yourself or have some bad damaging impact to your health. But this is what I want to say is a stage 1. You listen to your body. And in the second stage, you receive so many information from your parents, from your teacher, from your science book, from your biology book, and from the public, from the society. And everyone tell you to eat more veggie. You live in this environment. And then you're more or less affected by their opinion, affected by their thought. And so this is the second stage. But I think there's a third stage. The third stage is to take over control of everything. You start doing research. You really try to understand the nuances. But at the end, you still will back to listen to your own body. Asking yourself what is the right thing.
Yeah, but for here, it is not just based on whether it is tasty, right? It is like based on whether you feel good after eating it. Your body feels good. For example, sugar. Of course, you will feel tasty, but maybe you don't feel really good after eating it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you have anything on to add in?
Yeah. For today's one, no.
Okay. So, yeah. Talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah. Talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Goodbye.